all too common sight in many of our churches. This is certainly true in churches in the African context, at least the ones that I have had the privilege of worshiping in. You see the ushers standing around at their posts, and as people are coming into church, they get ushered to their different seats, and the better dressed you are, the bigger the car you arrive in, the better the seat you get inside the church. And if you are this poor person with nothing on your back, with the slimmest, the flimsiest of vestments on your back, then they put you in the very back of the church. You see it all too often. And so this is not something that is just outside of the church. It happens also in the church. And to be sure, it has been happening for ages and ages. Today, we are in the book of James, the 2nd chapter. And hear what James says at the beginning. My brothers and sisters, do you, with your acts of favoritism, really believe in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ? For if a person with gold rings and in fine clothes comes into your assembly, and if a person in dirty clothes also comes in, and if you take notice of the one wearing the fine clothes and say, have a seat here, please, while to the one who is poor you say, stand there or sit at my feet. Have you not made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? James is condemning favoritism. I have seen it way too many times playing out in the church still 2,000 years later, and here we are perpetuating the same sin that James was calling his brothers and sisters out for, saying you should not show favoritism in the church, and yet we are doing it to this day. And so I am calling out all the preachers, I am calling out all the churches, I am calling out every single individual. Maybe you have been a victim of this favoritism. Maybe you have been a perpetrator of favoritism, because to be sure, it doesn't only happen in the church, it happens even outside the church. How do you treat people when they walk into your office? Who do you welcome first? How do you treat people when they come to buy something from you? How do you treat people when they enter into your home? Whom do you give the best seat to? And how do you determine who gets that seat? See, we all deal with this issue one way or another, whether it is in church or in our place of work, in our homes, in school. There are times when we show favoritism, and there are times when we are victims of this favoritism. And yet here James calls us to question, and continues in this book, in this chapter, and he says, is it not these very same people who drag you into courts? Is it not the same people who oppress you? See, the people that he's talking about, when he makes references to gold rings and fine clothes, this was a way of showing your status if you were a Roman official. So he's talking about officials oppressing you, and yet you are cowering to them. You missed it. He's talking about government officials oppressing you, and still when they enter your church, they are the ones that you want to give the best seats to. Not when they enter your place of work, they are the ones that you want to welcome first, but they're the first ones that will take you to court and strip you bare of everything that you have. And they're the first that will put together policies that will destroy your community and just completely take everything from you. And yet, when we show favoritism, we always show it to the people who most likely would not do the same for us. When in fact we ourselves have been victims of favoritism in the first place. So why do we do it? Reflect on that. Let us all reflect on that. It needs to disappear, and most certainly it needs to be gone from the church. So here at the Way, we are working on making sure that that is not who we are. So if that is something that you're interested in, I invite you to join us. So come on.